beneath the story of war, morality, and mortality in Metal Gear Solid 4 lies an even deeper narrative, the story of its creator, Hideo Kojima. MGS4 is not just Snake's final mission, it is Kojima's personal requiem, born of frustration, exhaustion, and the impossible burden of completing a saga he longed to leave behind. Originally, Kojima intended to conclude the series with MGS2, a philosophical handoff to Raiden, the player surrogate and symbol of the next generation. That game was a postmodern reflection on hero worship, identity, and legacy, but fan backlash was immediate. They wanted Snake, answers, and Kojima himself. Kojima returned for MGS3, not out of desire, but necessity. The prequel restored the franchise's vision, recentered its mythology, and corrected the faltering transition to Raiden. MGS3 was a masterclass in narrative craft, bringing emotional nuance, eccentricity, and philosophical depth back to a series at risk of formulaic repetition. It was meant to be the final chapter, the definitive conclusion of the saga, but neither Konami nor the fans would allow it. MGS4 was never intended to exist. Kojima was supposed to hand over the reins. Shuyo Morita was initially slated to direct, yet relentless fan pressure, even death threats, pulled Kojima back. In an interview, Kojima explained that MGS4 was the complete wrap-up to end Snake's story definitively and allow himself to move on. This confession is central to understanding MGS4. The game is a swan song, a funeral, and a catharsis all in one, sprawling, obsessive, indulgent, and unapologetically sentimental. Every codec, call, flashback, and rehashed boss fight, from Liquid in MGS1 to Ocelot in MGS4, serves dual purposes, narrative closure and meta commentary on Kojima's struggle. This isn't mere fan service, it meditates on repetition, fatigue, and the impossibility of letting go, reflecting both creator and creation. It dwells in repetition, fatigue, and the impossibility of release, mirroring both creator and the creation. The returning characters Eva, Ocelot, Meryl are aged, weary, and burdened by the passage of time. They exist in a world that refuses to move on. Their presence reflects both continuity and decay, underscoring themes of mortality and legacy. Snake is the most poignant symbol, a once rebellious hero, now a dying man. His body fails him, his cough worsens, and his vices are scrutinized. Small gestures like the gecko discarding a cigarette or Sunny placing one on Snake's plate carry weight, affection tinged with concern, ritual mingled with resignation. Snake's final cigarette embodies legacy and acceptance of an inevitable end. Thematically, MGS4 is about finality. It resists handing the torch to a new generation, while MGS5 is about transfer. The player inherits Big Boss's ideals. 4 insists on closure. The saga ends with Snake, the narrative torch burned rather than passed. Every cue underscores finality, Kojima confronting his own legacy, exhaustion, and expectation. Now consider Metal Gear Solid Delta, the remake of Kojima's magnum opus without his guidance. Dota markets fidelity, promising to recreate the original experience through updated visuals and mechanics, but fidelity is not vision. The eccentricities, moral depth, and intimate authorial touch defining 3 and 4 cannot be copied. Dota is a corporate resurrection, polished, marketable, safe, but soulless. It is a product, not a work of art, a nostalgia machine masquerading as homage. Whereas MGS4 wrestles with mortality, fatigue, and legacy, Dota focuses on reanimation, sales, and technical polish, lacking the personal weight and philosophical resonance of Kojima's vision. Legacy can, however, be passed forward, as shown by Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, originally a Kojima Productions project exploring Raiden's transformation from human to cyborg. It was handed to Platinum Games when the original team struggled. Kojima entrusted Raiden's story, letting others evolve the world while preserving its philosophical core. Crucially, he did not micromanage. Fidelity to the original mattered less than enabling a fresh creative voice to express the series' DNA. Revengeance contrasts sharply with Delta, where Delta replicates, Revengeance embraces evolution. Raiden, once a victim of systemic control, becomes an agent of rebellion, confronting the system shaping him. The game is absurd.
You're right about one thing. I do need capital and votes. Wanna know why? I have a dream. What?
Kinetic and loud, yet beneath the spectacle remains MGS4's thematic DNA, morality, autonomy, and the human cost of war. It demonstrates that legacy can be preserved and expanded when entrusted to capable hands, proving that authorship and trust allow narrative evolution without losing philosophical integrity. MGS4's design mirrors its narrative themes. Rehashed battles, returning characters, and Snake's deteriorating body are not flaws but reflections of Kojima reconciling vision with external pressures. Every design choice embodies fatigue, responsibility, and intimate risk. Delta may reproduce form, but without the creator, it cannot capture the obsession or human caregiving. Delta hums the hollow tune of resurrection severed from its source. MGS4, Delta, and Revengeance illustrate three approaches to legacy. 4 closes a chapter with human imperfection, Delta resurrects without soul, Revengeance evolves the narrative with trust and creative freedom. The saga asks, what is the life of a story when its creators are absent? Only guided works remain alive in spirit. In the end, MGS4 is more than a game. It is Kojima's Requiem, a meditation on legacy, mortality, and creation's human cost. It reminds us endings can be deliberate, imperfect, and profoundly human. Kojima's storytelling has always embraced complexity. In MGS4, inclusion is subtle, integrated, and purposeful. Delta, by contrast, leans into performative signaling. Its pride camo is cosmetic, conspicuous, and disconnected from narrative. These gestures serve branding more than storytelling, reducing identity to marketable decoration. Subtlety is replaced with spectacle, humanity with aesthetic, and at its core, Delta is nothing more than a cash grab. It takes Kojima's magnum opus, strips it of its author, and sells back a hollow facsimile under the guise of faithfulness. The developers themselves even sought Kojima's blessing, as if technical fidelity could excuse the absence of his vision, but it cannot. What remains is not homage, but a corporate mask, a flawless imitation, devoid of the human presence that gave the original its meaning. It is the difference between digitally remastering Akira into flawless 4K and actually creating Akira. The form survives, but the spirit, the obsessive detail, the imperfection, the soul is gone. Yet legacy does not have to die in replication. Revengeance demonstrates how legacy can be carried forward through trust and evolution. Delta, without Kojima, only loops nostalgia. Ultimately, MGS4 is the better remake because it remade Metal Gear itself. It is Kojima confronting his own past, dismantling his mythology, and allowing Snake to die with dignity. Delta may look faithful, but it is hollow. Legacy is not fidelity, it is intention, care, and the courage to end with authenticity.
I wonder if I'll ever see him again.
Snake had a hard life. He needs some time to rest.